Wouldn't that be great? We could have fires in the street here. Okay, if you want to stop all discretionary spending, that's great. Let's just take out the unions and the communists that are here just like they are in Europe and just look at this. It may mean a military spending is cut as well. Defense, food stamps for people who actually need food stamps. There are necessary things that we need, and there are necessary shared sacrifices. But we make those intelligently. We need more people that are prepared, because there are far too many Americans that have not heard the captain say, prepare for landing because this baby's going down. Oh, that's right. You can't hear that because the captain's not telling you that. They leave that to a passenger who's in like 13E. And everybody else is going, can you tell that passenger he's freaking the kids out? Well, guess who gets blamed for all the misery when the Republicans say they're not going to raise the debt ceiling? The GOP, the Tea Party, the obstructionists, those who are just playing power and politics as usual. Everyone gets blamed except the actual culprits. And even if they just threaten to not pass it, the markets will be spooked. If they choose the alternative, if they raise the debt ceiling, well, then they're going to be called the party that doesn't stand for anything. The Tea Parties will bail on them. Americans will have an even harder time selling bonds. Oh, because there's another date coming up. Bonds. Bonds are like selling mortgages or buying a mortgage. You know when you go and get a mortgage to buy a house? Okay. And then they make you do all that ridiculous paperwork and you're like, okay, really? And in the old days, you know, they used to actually prove you had a job and that was your real name and the house really existed. You know, those old-timey ideas. Well, the rest of the world is kind of like that with our bonds, our mortgages. So here's what's happening. We're trying to get, let's say, China to buy our bonds. Think about our financial house and all of our paperwork. We're like, yeah, my dog ate the tax receipts. Our house is a mess. And yet we're going for granite countertops. Lots of character there. Yeah. We have perpetually high unemployment. We have out-of-control debt. We're not serious. The rest of the world is starting to cut. We're spending more and more and more. And we have more and more people on the government dole, more than ever before. Well, you going to write that mortgage? Yeah, not so much. Now, I want you to look at all these dates. When do the bonds come due? It's starting in like March, don't they? Media Matters. This one could be wrong. Look at the timing here. And let me bring up, since I was talking about Media Matters, and MoveOn.org and the Tides Foundation, all those great guys. Let's talk about your favorite, George Soros. He's already said that the GOP avalanche can't be stopped. And in a new AP poll showing nearly 1/4 of those who voted for Obama in 2008 are now defecting to the GOP. Make no mistake, all the signs point to a massive power shift towards the right. They know. The left knows all of these dates, and so does the right. But you know, you won't know it until that tidal wave is about to wash on our shore. It makes a cynical person say, George Soros knew all of this, right? And they know that they can direct all the rage to their political enemies, you know, which will ensure the destruction of the two-party system. Maybe we could have a one-party system. Yes, because if we could just eliminate all those crazy, confusing options. The Bush tax cuts expire at the end of the year. If they expire and there are massive tax hikes, GOP's fault. If they're renewed, oh, well, it's the same old policies that got us here in the first place. Don't raise the debt ceiling? Well, those evil Republicans want to fire teachers and firefighters. There'll be no more roads. $700 billion. Those rich, evil corporations are shorting the federal government. I read a frightening line from a political operative, and basically it was this. If the Tea Partiers have their way, there will be massive cuts and giant bailouts for Wall Street. That's the biggest lie I've ever heard. Tea Parties are against the Wall Street bailouts. Hello, are you listening? Call me. The line after that, however, was critical. Because remember, we're talking about the Tea Party and the Republicans here. Here's the president talking about Republicans.
They were basically counting on you forgetting who caused the mess in the first place.
Sounds to me like somebody is looking for someone to pin it on. And that somebody may be you. Unless you're for that guy. Then it's definitely not you. It's everybody else. I made some pretty serious statements here. You know, that we're set for failure. We're being set up for failure. And here's where it always goes off the rails, because people will always say, well, who would ever do that? Why would... Come on, keep me in the frame. Why would you do that? Let me tell you why they'd do it. I'll give you the answer to that next. Do you remember what the campaign slogan was in 1946 of the Republicans? Of course you do. You watch this show. You're a geek like me. But in case you missed that episode, in 1946, coming off of FDR, the closest thing to a dictator that we've ever had, Woodrow Wilson, then FDR. 2 years of Democrat Harry Truman after that, war is over, and the slogan was, had enough yet. Just like this sign, which is now being distributed in the Dallas County Republican Party. Slogan 1946. And slogan now. Truman's popularity had completely tanked. His approval rating fell to 33%. Democrats knew a slaughter was coming at the ballot box. Any of this sound familiar? And the Republicans indeed took control. They picked up 55 seats. Wow, I just read just the other day that they're predicting that the Republicans will pick up 55 seats. But the Democrats didn't stop playing politics. After winning the election, the Republicans were promptly blamed for everything. Do-nothing Congress come to mind. Booted out of office in 1948 because of a do-nothing Congress, because they couldn't get anything done. And they were effectively blamed for everything. They sat on the sidelines and could not gain control of Congress for the next 30 years. You see how quickly it can turn? Republicans went from hero to zero in 2 years. Are we going to repeat this? We already know this can happen again. Evidence is on the rise of the GOP. In the next 2 years, I mean, think about what is being reported about the GOP in 2008 after getting trounced in the election. People said the party was over. It was doomed, dustbin of history, blah, 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 blah. In less than 2 years, they're about to pummel Democrats who, all they had to do 2 years ago was smile, next to a cardboard cutout of Obama, and they'd get elected. Well, they can fall just as quickly as they rose. That's what Democrats are counting on, I believe. Maybe not Democrats. The really cynical, the spooky dudes, George Soros. If the GOP raises the debt ceiling, they're hypocrites. Big spending Republicans. If they don't raise it, America crumbles and they're to blame. You see what I mean? So, when you're going to lose, blame the other party for the mess. But secondly, you also have to profit off the loss. Yes, spooky dude, George Soros. I want to tell you something here about George Soros, and I want you to watch for this as watchdogs. Is it just a coincidence that he called for a managed decline of the dollar?
A decline in the value of the dollar is necessary, yes, in order to compensate for the fact that the U.S. economy will remain rather weak, will be a drag on the global economy.
We're such a drag on the global, it'd be weak. The dollar has been in steady decline for its 5th straight week. It's almost like it's managed decline. Soros, of course, has profited off the collapse of currencies time and time again in world history. My guess is, spooky dude, betting against America soon. The outcome, of course, is inevitable. We need to stop the drag on the rest of the world. Our money is being destroyed. And how do I know this? Well, here's the new $50 gold coin from the U.S. Mint. We ran out of these. Don't you love it when the United States government can't make coins anymore because they don't have enough gold? This is still marked a $50 gold piece. When this is $50, you could buy 2 good suits with it. Okay? You could probably still buy 2 good suits, I mean really good suits with this now, because now this is what, $1,400? So nothing has changed. This coin still buys you 2 really good suits. But wait a minute, this is $50. So the only thing that's changing in value, not the suits, not the gold, our money. Is our money increasing in value? No. Maybe in another 40 years, I could still buy 2 good suits with this coin. But I don't know how many suits I could buy with $1 or $50 or $1,500. Every time a currency is going to collapse, George Soros is there to bet against it. He has come out with an op-ed citing how concerned he is with the state of the economy in these countries. And I don't know, I'm a little concerned, and I'm spooky and authoritative looking. So he bails, and everyone follows suit because he's got to know something that we don't know. So you have to play politics, you got to profit off it, and finally, you're looking for power. Well, how do you gain power? Well, you need chaos. Oh, my goodness. Chaos. Oh, I got a book on the chaos, how to create chaos, by people who want global communism. And this one was, look what's happening in France now. Over 1 million people are protesting in the streets over austerity cuts. The unions and the communists are causing the chaos. Don't believe me? Read it in their own words. I'm going to do a show on this book here in the next couple of weeks, and I can guarantee you a new version of this book exists. Who are the radicals that you're hearing about in the media today? You, the Tea Parties, not these people. No, these people are fine. They don't really exist. You are the radical. America has no idea what real radicals look like. I want to leave you with this. In France, in England, this is what they look like. Oh, look at that. It's a communist flag and a coffin. Isn't that great? Unions, communist. Same people in power here. Unions and communist. Richard Trumka from the AFL-CIO been speaking at events endorsed by the Democratic Socialists of America. I know I'm preaching to the choir here. I know you know we have problems. And sometimes it's easier to talk about the problems than solutions because the solutions seem so ridiculously small compared to the scale of our problems. But solutions are not going to come from an election or politician. You must go out and vote. But people are all offering just varying degrees of the same solution. It needs to be a little more drastic. And it all centers around you. So what do we do about it? That's next.
A new survey says that Americans are losing their ability to think outside the box. That ability may be our most valuable asset. Glenn explains next.